Hey team Faith and Soul, how are you doing? I hope you are having a good week so far. I might have noticed a little something is a little different. I decided to go ahead and keep this on. For those of y'all that follow me on my personal page, you might have seen that I did a little personal marketing photo shoot today. The hubby's off work, and so he was nice enough and kind enough to help me out with marketing. So I figured, you know what? This is just something that I'm going to do for now on. I think it's a lot of fun. Um, obviously. And then I had my earrings as well as two. And so I thought that was really cute, fun, didn't take a lot of time. But speaking of the way that I look, I want to go ahead and show y'all. Of course, ours is a little dirty, but it gets the point across. I just won't show you the inside of the wax dish because I'm having to have that one replaced. So that's a whole nother thing in itself. But I just want to remind you guys that the NFL collection is live, that it is available for a limited time. It is the full-size warmers. Any NFL team, currently they're all available. None of them have sold out, but they will be available until they sell out. Just the full-size warmers, not the minis this time, along with the signature licensed bar NFL Gridiron Rush. And that one actually smells pretty incredible. In fact, side note, if you have any customers that like fresh grass smell, clean, fresh out of the shower, fresh type scents, that bar is for them. It's actually a really good one. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to go ahead and take a sip of my drink. In fact, I even was tempted to turn it on thanks to my awesome friend Rhonda. I'm sure you'll be watching this later, but thank you for my cup. It is so cute. Just a little housekeeping before we dive into this week's training. Let's see. So tomorrow, if you are watching the replay, August 30th, way ahead of myself, August 30th, 31st, 30th, 31st, is going to be the last day for our spring and summer catalog. Insane, right? September 1st launches not only the fall catalog for the new season, but also on top of that, the harvest collection. So if you haven't already posted photos, posted your stories, talk up the harvest collection. It's super exciting. I'm so ready for it, you guys. I even have my host rewards ready to go. I have my list planned out as far as what I would be getting with my host rewards. So I'm super excited about that. Let's see what else. The Princess Collection is going away among the Friends bar as well. Don't forget that if any of your customers do like the Friends wax bar, which I coincidentally have right here because it's my personal one, or the Princess wax bars, any of those can be added to Club, just FYI. Also, if you haven't already, make sure and follow up with your customers because they have 2 days left. 2 days, you guys, to add their favorite bars to Scentsy Club. We don't want any Scentsy heartaches in here. We talked about that previously 2 weeks ago. We don't want any Scentsy heartaches. So we want our customers to lock down their favorite wax bars in Scentsy Club. And just as a reminder, be sure and let them know, the ones who do have Scentsy Club currently, that once they add those bars to Club, they have to keep them there. But if they delete them out, they're deleted out for good. They can't ever get them back until the following season. And that's even if, that's a strong if, it does come back. So I feel like that's pretty much about it. The only other thing that I know that's going away, of course, is the promotion post join kit special. So the warmer that was attached with the 99 kit. And then, of course, the 5 bonus wax bars that they get when they join with the host kit for $59. That's going away as well. And so as of September 1st, anybody that you get that either does the reinstate or the 2 join kits, they'll get the fall and winter marketing and supplies. So there we go. I think that's pretty much about it as far as some housekeeping. So let's go ahead and get started in the training. So pretty much sliding right in conjunction with what we just talked about, is planning ahead for fall. And if you see me looking over to the side, as y'all know, your girl likes to take notes. So planning ahead for fall. Let's let Scentsy fall into the cracks of your life. No pun intended, but it is. So what does that mean? So that means that I am not oblivious to the fact that come fall, winter season, most of you guys are going to be super busy, right? We've got family activities planned. We've got vacations planned. Some of y'all have kids that are going back to school or already in back to school. Some of y'all are working or going back to work. And then we have all of the holidays coming up, and then everything, all the things. Sports has, football season has kicked off. We've got all the things going on. So I am, again, not oblivious to the fact that we have busy schedules. But here's the thing, as weird as this sounds, the busier that you are with your schedule, you're able to let your Scentsy business sprinkle into that, which is perfect. What do I mean by that? That means that make sure and not be what is referred to as Scentsy naked, Scentsy naked, whenever you are out and about. What does that mean? That means, we've talked about this before in the past, that you can have like a Scentsy hat, a Scentsy shirt. It means that you can have a Scentsy bag. You can market, you can brand yourself without actually talking about the business. You can also have samples, testers, catalog, product list, something simple, something doable that you can drop in your bag on the way out the door. So that way you have something to talk about when you're out and about running errands, when you're at your kids' activities. That's what I mean by letting it fall in between the cracks. You don't want to necessarily have this notion of, oh my gosh, I need to clear my schedule to make time for Scentsy. No, you want to stay and maintain the schedule that's already planned out, because odds are more likely you kind of have an idea, right, of like what you're doing later this fall, September, October, maybe not the entire month, but we do have tangible things, right, that are set in motion that are already planned for the upcoming season. Like, I know that I have things that are going on September through November, pretty much. Not the entire month, right? But I do have things that are sprinkled in between, whether it's meetings or a trip that I'm going on or plans with friends. But whatever the case may be, I am going to allow my Scentsy business to fall into between the cracks. The season is hectic outside of Scentsy, right? I was saying that earlier. Do what works for you to make sure that you are working your business, okay? You definitely don't want to not show up during this time of year. Now, obviously, the way we worked our business for the spring, summertime is definitely going to look very different come fall, winter. It's going to look different for you versus me. It's definitely not going to be the same. I guarantee you that. But what is going to happen is that, as most of us know, the fall winter season is going to go by within a blink of an eye. And I do not mean to pull a little Dr. Seuss moment on that. But it's going to go by super fast. And what's important is that if you've been working your business throughout the summertime, meaning showing up through social media, talking about your business with those that you're coming in contact with, whether you're on vacation, whether you're going to work, whether you're hanging out with your mom's groups, whether you're at meetings, whether, whatever the case may be, as long as you've been sending out text or following up with Happy Mail or following up with their orders, as long as if you have like a presence within your customers, and either you've been getting orders or you've just been in contact with them to let them know about the upcoming new catalog fall season, then you've done your job, right? You've done your job. And it's been a little bit slow and steady, but guess what? Come October, September, we're going to like ease into it a little bit, but come October, super busy, super busy. People go crazy for the fall, winter stuff, right? So buckle up, Buttercup, because it's going to get crazy, but in a good way, because our customers at this point are going to be home more often. They're going to be hosting friends and family at their houses. So they're going to want their house to smell good, right? They're going to want those memorable products, those memorable gifts, warmers, fragrance flowers, all of those things, buddies to be able to give to those that they love for special occasions, for the holidays. So you want to make sure that you're continuously showing up between now and the end of the year. You can make all the samples, right? You can make all the samples. You can make all the cute bags. You can make all of the cutesy little marketing images that you want, right? But if you're not putting it to work, if you're not putting it to use, and it's just collecting dust in your office and it's just sitting on the counter and it's just at your house as you walk right out the door, and you're not bringing it with you and you're not letting it work for you, what's the point of doing all of it, right? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It doesn't matter if you're not doing something with it, right? Fine example for myself. I, for the last couple years, thought that because everyone else that I followed on social media was bulk sampling, and it looked really pretty and it looked really nice and it looked fun. And I'm like, well, this seems practical, right? Because I want to make sure that I have samples ready to go. Here's the thing. My business didn't work out being, it didn't work out being the same as it was the year before. So I found myself forgetting what I had on hand. It collected dust. It went into drawers that I forgot about. I worked my business in different ways. And because of that, I completely forgot about all the samples. And almost not even kidding you, almost a year later, I now find myself, I've been clearing out my office, minimalizing everything. I found a whole drawer of samples of things that are discontinued. They don't even exist anymore. Now, yes, I could, in theory, of course, I'm well aware, pass out said samples, and still give them to my customers and such. But these things don't exist, and if and when they do, it's going to be an LTO. So I was very discouraged because I was like, I cannot believe I made all these samples, that I wasted money on these products, right? Because I had to buy the materials to make the samples, right? I had to set the time aside to make these samples, and yet I didn't put them in my customers' hands. So shame on me, right? But you know what? It's okay because I'm pivoting and I learned my lesson. And what I'm currently doing this year, and I will continue doing for the rest of the season, for the rest of the year, is I'm honestly, and you have to do what works for you, but what works for me is just honestly making samples as I go. What do I mean by that? For example, we have the harvest collection coming out, right? In 2 days, harvest collection. I posted about it in my VIP group. I went live. I had the bars myself over here to my side. I smelled the bars. I talked it out with my customers in my VIP group. I let them know what I liked, what I didn't like. And because of that, I had a couple people that wanted to smell it for themselves. So guess what? Guess what? Instead of making all the samples before I even talked about it, before I even shared the info with my customers, in the past, the old version of Megan, I would have made samples already and be like, all right, they're ready to go. Let's see who wants them. Not this time. So what I did this time is I waited for them to let me know who wanted samples, right? Then I made them. I didn't make any fancy samples. And you know what? Kudos to those of y'all out there that do make the cutesy samples. But once again, I don't always have the patience for that. And I don't always have the time. And I want something that is quick, efficient, ready to go. So what did I do? I grabbed my little tool and I got one cube. I sliced it down. I had 2 people that were interested, so I sliced it twice. I put it in a little teeny clear bag. I didn't even make any fancy labels, y'all. Now, I will say that as at the beginning of every catalog season, I can't take credit for them, but we do have incredibly talented consultants out there who make really cute samples, really cute labels, sorry. And I actually will use their labels, which is awesome. But when it comes to an LTO fragrance, limited time offer fragrance, I am not going to take the time to make a cute label because limited time, people, limited time. What does that mean? Not going to be available for very long, right? So I want to hurry up, make the sample, get it out the door. Again, your customers may be different from my customers, but most of the time, even though my customers do appreciate the cutesy stuff, at the same time, they just want fragrance under their noses. And so that's what I did. I just made samples, those 2 samples in the moment. They claimed it, they wanted it, I made it, bada boom, bada bing. But what I have found is that I don't want to do bulk sampling ahead of time because God forbid I would have made samples of all 5 of those bars coming out September 1st. I only had 2 people that were interested in them, and I'm so glad I didn't go crazy with it because I would be stuck with them. What if the bar sold out within a day or 2? I would be stuck with those fragrances, right? So you get my drift. If you make the samples, make sure and put them to work. As soon as you make the samples, make sure within a day or 2 that you are immediately getting them out the door, getting them, mailing them, putting them in your customers' hands, dropping them off to your customers, whatever you got to do, just get them out of your house. Let's think about a moment. What is a tangible goal for yourself? What is a tangible goal for yourself? Meaning, what is a goal that you want to hit between now and the end of December? right? By the end of the year, tangible goal. That's going to look different for you versus me, right? But I want you to pause this video and I want you to reflect on that for a minute. What is a tangible goal for yourself? I want you to write it down. It's important to write it down because you want this to be visually in front of you in your office space, on a mirror in your house, in your bathroom, on your refrigerator, wherever it is that you feel like you're going to have the most attention. Where's the place that you go to the most? Because I need you to have that tangible goal in front of your face at all times. So then that we are fully aware of what you're wanting to accomplish for yourself from now until the end of the year. You have the tools this season to help you be successful. There is no excuse, unless it's a personal reason, of course, that's the exception. But there's no excuse to not meet your tangible goal that you have set for yourself. Why? What do you have? What tools do you have? You have YouTube. That's where I started my business for 2 years. That's how I grew my success in my business, was through YouTube. You have your dashboard. You have trainings that are uploaded every single week, y'all, on Cincy Dashboard. You have me if I'm your sponsor. You have me if I'm your team leader. You have your sponsor. You have Facebook, y'all. There is one training group at least per month that is either created or starts over again. And if you're not in one, let me know, and I will send you an invite to one of them, whatever one is currently going on at the time. But there's always at least one going on at least every other month, if not every month. So you have these accountability groups as well, right? You have our upline team page, Butterfly Rain. Some of y'all are in Epic Rockstars. You have these two groups that can also hold you accountable. We have events going on in our area. If you're not local, let me know. I can do my best to try to help you find an event that's in your area. For my local people, we have H-Town Showdown. Yes, we have H-Town Showdown that's coming up the end of next month. And I'm so excited for those y'all that signed up. We're going to have an incredible time. Come January into February, we have World Tour, right? So these are some things to keep in mind that are tools for your business that are going to help you along the way to be successful, to know that you're not alone in this. You are 100% not alone in this, y'all. You have something, you have someone to hold you accountable, and you have all of the marketing materials on your dashboard to help you out with your business, right? One thing that's really important to keep in mind, and this is going to be a little bit of tough love, is that no one's going to show up for you but yourself. No one's going to show up for you. I am not going to hold your hand. I am not going to tell you how to work your business. I will help you and guide you along the way, but I can't do it for you. I'm sorry, but I can't do it for you. I have to work my business. I have to make sure that I'm successful in my own right from now until the end of the year. I have my tangible goal that I've set for myself. Have you? I can't do this for you. I can only do this. I can only show up in video form. I can only do Zoom chats with you. I can show up with you in person. We can chat. I can encourage you along the way, but I can't do this business for you. You are a business owner. You're a business owner, whether you are with Cincy or whether you are with any other business, whether you are a small business owner yourself or you work for somebody else. You have to show up for yourself, whether it's your business, whether we're talking about your mental state of mind, your physical self. We have to show up for ourselves, right? Because ain't nobody going to show up for me every day and make sure that I'm hustling, that I'm working in my office, that I'm getting things done, right? That I'm meeting my goals, that I'm working this trip incentive. No one's going to make sure that I do that. No one. I have to do that for myself, just like you have to do this for yourself, right? Only you can show up for you. You determine your success, nobody else. Once you have your goal in mind this season, it's important to work backwards. I love this. I heard this the other day in a training. I love the idea of working backwards. What does that mean? Let's break this down a little bit more. So now that you have your tangible goal in mind, write it down and let's work backwards to make sure that you can successfully hit that tangible goal. What does that mean? Ask yourself this first, how are you going to market our products? How are you going to market the products that are coming out between now and December? One of the easiest things that you do in your business, you guys, is something I send out to y'all on a month-to-month basis, and it's a content calendar. Cincy has one, and there are also Cincy consultants who create their own. So you can do either or, right? You can do either or depending on which one speaks to you more. But content calendar, they are incredible, you guys, especially if you're like myself, who tends to scroll a lot. I love a content calendar. And in fact, a lot of times what I will do, and I did it this year, or I did it this month, is I added it onto my phone as my wallpaper because it was so annoying. It was a nuisance to have to keep going through my photos and finding it over and over because Lord knows how many photos I save, how many screenshots I take, how many things I save on Facebook. I did not want to have to keep going back to it. So I saved it as my wallpaper. It was the best thing ever. And once you have a content calendar, FYI, if you didn't already know this, you can go to your VIP group and on your personal pages now. And if I'm not mistaken, Instagram too. And you can actually pre-schedule your text out ahead of time. Now, you can also link your Facebook personal page and your stories to Instagram, just FYI. Stories is like where it's at. That's my favorite thing. Reels, I think you can do reels too. I think you go back and I think you can go to Instagram to Facebook if I'm not mistaken. But then your stories on Facebook, you can link up with Instagram and it sends it right over, just FYI. But it's important to know how you're going to market what's coming out. What do I mean by that? How are you going to post through social media? That's the first thing. How are you going to ask those your customers that have been with you for a while? How are you going to talk to them? How are you going to bring it up in conversation, the products that are coming out, right? Because as a small example, there are different ways that you can go about that. Like, for example, usually for me, I'll start, let's just go with, for an example, the Harvest Collection. Okay. So when we first found out about the Harvest Collection, I did reach out about a month ago, I believe, to my customers who ordered from the collection last year, because I know that those are my ride or die Halloween fall peeps, right? So those are the ones that I reached out to immediately because I knew that they were just like me and wanting to get their hands on the fall and Halloween stuff as soon as possible. So those were the first people that I reached out to one-on-one, right? Once I did that, then that's when I went into my texting, my messages that I do. And then I sent a link out, which was the flip catalog. I sent that out to everyone else that had not ordered from it last year. So they got that. Yeah, that's what it was. My people that had ordered last year, I already knew that they would be interested in the product. I mean, technically they could have asked for the flip catalog, but no one asked. I sent them my pre-order form, and because I knew they were going to be interested in it. And so that's how I went about that. And then I worked my way backwards. So that's where I started. And then from there, that's when I was like, okay, now I'm going to show up in my VIP group and I'm going to give them a little glimpse into what's coming out. So I've been kind of spoon feeding them a little bit at a time over the last 2 weeks. Then I went, yesterday, I went to my stories and I posted the images that we have for the upcoming Harvest Collection in my stories. So you get what I'm going with that? Like, I start on a smaller scale, more intimate, and then I actually will go bigger and bigger as far as how I share it out, whether that's through email, whether that's through text, whether that's posting on my personal page. But rest assured that I'm not sticking with just one method because not everybody is going to show up and see that. So I love being able to work that in multiple ways. So again, how are you going to market our products? The content calendar, whether it's the Cincy one by far with LTOs, is amazing. Like, it is so good, you guys, because it shows all of the limited time offers that are coming out for the month on a calendar. And the coolest thing is that you can actually decide, okay, well, this collection is coming out on Monday. So that means that I probably need to post and talk about it on like Thursday or Friday to make sure they know ahead of time what's coming out. Those are important things to keep in mind. And we can talk about this at another time, but one of the things that I thrive on, and this is a fine example of this right here, is how to market at LTO. I don't necessarily like posting an image and just talking about the sale. I love shining bright and bringing my personality through talking about whatever it is that's coming out for a limited time offer. And that's also what I'm hoping that with these trainings every week, if we have a limited time offer coming out, I'm challenging myself to show you guys how you can market yourself in one way or another and share like a glimpse of what's coming out without actually asking for the sale, right? Because if you follow me in my personal page, I literally posted this today with me holding that Dallas Cowboy warmer, and I didn't mention anything about order through me. The only thing I think I mentioned was that it was available for while supplies last. So that creates a sense of urgency, but that's the only thing I add on there. I didn't add prices. I let people comment and interact. And if they're interested, they're going to comment and they're going to ask me for information. In which they did. They went to the comments and they were like, hey, how much is this warmer? I'm interested. How much is it? That's when you can go into the comments and reply back. Or if you choose to, message them one-on-one and let them know about the details. But to me, at the end of the day, like, it's so important to have fun with what's coming out. We've talked about this also in the past, is that you as a independent business owner, you don't have to showcase everything. You don't have to share everything. Now, I will say first and foremost with my VIPs, I will let them know about almost everything that's coming out because that's what a VIP is, right? A very important person. And my VIPs have definitely let me know ahead of time that that's why they come to that group for the most part, is to see what's happening in Cincyland. And also to check on me in my personal life and to see what's happening with me. But for the most part, they know they can see what's up with Cincy through my VIP group. They're not, I don't want them, I want that to be the first place they get their information. I don't want them to see that anywhere else other than my VIP group, right? Because in my opinion, if they find out something before I even tell them, I know I've dropped the ball on that, right? And so all I can do is just take it with a grain of salt and learn to not do it the next time around and just get better at it, right? However, when it comes to beyond your VIP group, right, that's where you can pick and choose. What are you going to share? What are you going to offer? If we've talked about this before, if LTOs scare you, it's okay. It's okay. Those are sprinkles in your business. It's not the whole thing. You have the entire fall winter catalog to share and talk about. And there's a lot to offer in there. So it's okay if you don't want to offer LTOs. LTOs to me are a lot of fun, but it's not all that I focus on. One thing to think about too, when it comes to working backwards with your business to make sure you hit that tangible goal that we've been talking about, is how are you going to ask those to party with you? How are you going to ask them? Are you going to text them one-on-one? Are you going to, when someone follows up with you, customer reaches out and they're like, hey, I really like that warmer, but I don't know if it's really in my budget. Are you going to offer them a personal shopping link to work towards earning said product for half off or for possibly free? Are you going to ask them about that? If you have somebody that's excited for the Christmas catalog coming up, holiday catalog, are you going to be like, hey, ooh, you know what? Here's a glimpse of what's coming out in November. Let me know if you want to set up a personal shopping link or a party in October, and we can help you earn some host rewards to grab some of those things at a discount. Have you thought about that? Those are ways that you can get really super simple, easy shopping links set up for your customer. There are a multitude of ways, you guys, to party with your customers, but have you thought about how you're going to ask them? And if that's something that you need help with as far as verbiage or party options, let me know. Reach out to me one-on-one and we can work together. We could chat one-on-one. We can do a Zoom call. We can talk about that a little bit more in depth if you need help with that. Another thing to think about is when are you going to reach out to follow up with those who need to reorder? What does that look like for you? Right? So for me personally, it really depends. I have my regular customers who typically, most of the time, I don't really have to worry about per se, because those are the ones that either one of two things. They either come to me whenever they need something, or if I'm trying to work towards an incentive or a goal and we're getting down to like the last minute, that's typically when I will reach out to them and then ask them to place an order. Otherwise, honestly, they're really good about letting me know when they need something. Another thing that I like to do is follow up with my customers. I'm a little bit different, so I feel like I probably honestly reach out to my customers more than some consultants. So, for example, whenever they place an order, as soon as I see that, I immediately thank them for their order. I typically will text them and I'll send them like a cute like photo of me, like a little quick selfie, or I'll send them like my Bitmoji because y'all know how much I like those. And then let's see, from there, typically I will wait probably about like 2 to 3 weeks ish, give or take, maybe 2 weeks after their product arrived. And I normally don't try to wait any longer than that, but I'll follow up with them and I'll just say, hey, I saw your order arrived. I just want to check in, make sure everything looks good. Did it arrive okay? That kind of thing. I want really great customer service, right? So I want to stand out. I want to make sure that I'm going above and beyond. And again, that may look different for you than what I do. And then after that, typically, depending on one thing that I'm really working harder on this year, especially going into this new catalog season, is I want to track like what they're ordering and then follow like depending upon when I follow up with them will depend upon what products they have. Okay. So what's really cool, and I wish I had it with me right now, but if you have your product list, use your product list. Or I'm sorry, not your product list. What your product guide. Sorry about that. Use your product guide because your product guide is going to let you know for almost all of our products, like typically approximately how long it'll last. So that'll determine when I follow up with my customer, right? So for example, for if I have a customer that orders our laundry product, I'm going to follow up with them in a different time frame than somebody who ordered our wax bars. Okay, catch my drift. So that's something I'm actually working on because I'm realizing now that if I have a customer who doesn't go through our laundry products as often, I want to see like how often they're ordering, and that'll determine like when I follow up with them, if that makes sense. So you have to determine how that looks like, what that looks like for you. Are you going to follow up with your customers first week of the month? I know some consultants, honestly, because they've got really crazy busy schedules, is that they'll actually go through like the last week of the month. They'll go back and look at everyone that's ordered from them from the month. And then that's when they'll follow up with them and then thank them for the orders. And then also be like, hey, did everything arrive okay? That way you can do like, 2 for 1 there. Let's see what else. Have you also considered fundraising and events? Just so y'all know, during the fall winter season, that is when fundraising and events is super popular. Super popular. Events, that is something all in itself. And again, if you want to talk about that 101, let me know. But events can be one thing for me, honestly. Lately, I've been more or less relying on like referrals. So I've been asking my customers, like I'll basically usually will like post a photo of myself and I'll put it on my VIP group or my personal page and I'll say something along the lines of, hey, I can't believe the fall season is almost here. I'm so excited to kick off events. Please keep me in mind as your Scentsy girl or your Scentsy gal or your wax lady, whatever you want to say, for future events. Or you could say something too, like I've said before, I love referrals. If you see an event in your area, please feel free to tag me. I'd really appreciate it. Those things are free to do for your customers. That's free for them to do, right? Referrals are free. They don't cost anything. They don't take a lot of time. I'm so fortunate and blessed to have customers who do tag me in events that they come across. Now, for me personally, I typically will either text them and I'll thank them, for doing so, or if I have something on hand like a send circle, I'll quickly send a send circle to them. I'll write on it, thank you for the referral to the event. I really appreciate you. And then I'll mail it, send it on its way. So something like that goes a long way. I have found that the more that I reward my customers, the more in return they refer people to me, they refer events to me, they refer fundraisers. And it's just so awesome. And that's not something you necessarily have to do. Honestly, I think just keeping it as simple as just sending them a text and letting them know how grateful you are, or if you're lucky enough to see them in person, letting them know face to face, that goes a long way. because they didn't have to do that for you. But the beauty of it is that they're working the business for you. Like they're working for you practically. And just a little side note, just a little nugget of information. If you have somebody that is either constantly sharing your content, constantly sharing and helping you share out your Scentsy post, and or tagging you like in events, fundraisers, things like that, that's something to honestly consider, is talking to them about joining. Just FYI, especially if they're sharing your post, because that's something that you can talk to them about and be like, hey, you see this post that I'm always doing? You can do the same thing. You can do that in your business and be, and yeah, just FYI, I just want to throw that out there. It's important to take it one system at a time. And if you're not really sure what a system is, if you're new to Scentsy or if you've rejoined recently with our team, system, I mean, it's a nice little word, but it's not really something I tend to throw around a lot. More or less, like when I think of a system, it's really just what is something in your day-to-day business that you do, right? So that could be follow-up, that could be happy mail, that could be posting on your social media pages. If you're just starting out or if you're just getting back into the groove of things as a consultant, start with one of those and then turn it into where it's a habit and you're deciding how often you're going to do it, when you're going to do it. Once you start maintaining that and it's not really something that you're like, once you kind of like get that in motion and then you feel like you're good to go, then add on one more thing and then one more thing and then go from there. Don't feel like you have to do everything all at once. And think on a smaller scale, because going back to, and I know I've said this before, going back to the fact that I know that there are a lot of groups that we're in, there are a lot of consultants that we follow through social media pages. A lot of times, including myself, I get caught up in a lot of things that I see where things look really pretty or things look really nice and professional. And I will scroll with my good old ADHD brain and I will be like, oh, shiny new, I need to do this too. And I'll like drop everything that I do in my business and I'll try to add that one thing on. And what happens is that everything else that I've maintained in my business, I typically will give like a little bit of attention to, and then I'll give the rest of my attention to the new and shiny thing. So a lot of times I've had to not unfriend, but unfollow consultants, or if there are pages that I was in, I tend to leave those groups, especially if it's not serving me at any point. And the beauty of it is that I can always go back to those groups. So there's that. As far as Happy Mail is concerned, Happy Mail can look different for everyone. It depends upon your time. It depends upon your budget. So consider Happy Mail as simple as thanking them for their order, right? That could be texting your customer, that could be emailing them or sending mail. It could be all three. It could be one of those. It's up to you, right? Like what I do in my business for Happy Mail doesn't have to be the same thing that you're doing, and then vice versa. You have to do what works for you. You have to do what works for your budget. Again, going back to asking your customers for referrals. That is like the best thing that has ever happened for my business. In fact, I was just talking about that with my husband the other day of how cool it is of like, there's like a little family tree almost, it feels like with my customers, because like when I think of one customer, I can then think about like, wait a minute, like reflect on how did I meet them? And I'm like, oh, I met them through this other customer and they introduced me through this person. And it's just so cool. Even our team members, like customers and team members, how I can think of at least one to two people that I have met through that other person. So that's where referrals are incredible, you guys. Let your customers know that you're branching out and doing fundraisers or events. Fundraisers, just like events, so many things you can do, so many options. YouTube is going to be your best friend for both. YouTube, especially fundraisers. YouTube is going to be your best friend. If you're on team Faith and Soul, we could definitely talk about that one-on-one again through our Zoom calls. But there's so many different options when it comes to fundraising. So definitely look into that if that's something that piques your interest, especially this time of year, because we have Kids in sports, right? We've got everyone going back to school, raising funds for teachers, right? That is huge. Also, kids that are in dance. Dance is expensive as well. Cheerleading is expensive. Also, the holidays are coming up. So doing like a buddy drive, those things come in handy too for like your local police department. If you have like any kind of what is it I'm thinking about, like if you have any organizations in your town, in your cities, that are into like foster care, that help with those needs, help with adoption needs, things of that matter. Let's see. Once you have your goal in mind, remember we talked about that earlier, tangible goal. Once you have your goal in mind, one thing that I want you to do is create first and foremost a big goal. So like what I mean by that is I have a goal to meet for the incentive trip, right? I have a goal to meet. However, it's important for me to break it down. So typically we have that point goal, right? So if you're working towards the incentive trip, you know your total amount of points that are needed, right? But I like to break that further down. So now I know what I need to do on a month-to-month basis. And then I even break it down further than that because then I'm like, okay, this is how much I need to bring in sales-wise every single day to add up to what I want to hit for the end of the month. So it's important to break your numbers down in that way because if I'm looking at that big goal, that can be a little hairy, scary, intimidating, right? But if I'm breaking it down per day, it's not really going to be as much, but it does add up as the days go by. And let's just say that if I don't hit my personal goal per day, I roll over to the next. So that's where like a calendar can come in handy. I've done that before. Trackers, whether they're on your phone, computer, tablet, paper and pen, whatever you got to do to track it. Even for me, honestly, I have to take it smaller than that because otherwise sometimes I do get very much overwhelmed. So I have my day-to-day goal, right, of how much PRV I want to bring in. But I like to go beyond that and I will actually break it down as far as what I'm doing by the hour. What do I mean by that? Let's see if I can find, yeah, it's right here. So I didn't actually use this last year, but I was like, this year's going to change. So I have my like handy dandy to-do list here. It's really cool because it breaks down for me personally. I got this off Amazon, but it breaks down top 3. So those are like my non-negotiables that I have to get done for the week. Then I have my to-do. So that's usually, I think it gives me about like 7 or 8 lines that I can work with. So that's my to-do list. So that's are things that I need to get done, but they're not top priority right now. And I do like where it has on the side for me personally, it says like self-care and gratitude. So gratitude, obviously I still need to fill out, but I do like the fact where it says self-care. So those are things that I want to remind myself to do for the week, to take time out for myself. And then I just have like a little spot down here that says for notes. But I do like the idea of having a to-do list, especially specifically having like a top like 2 to 3 things that like non-negotiables have to get done as soon as possible, and then like everything else. Now, one thing that I did used to do that really helped me is that let's just say that like an organized list like that can be a little intimidating. Grab a sheet of paper, grab a notebook, piece of paper, and mind dump all the things and just keep going till you can't remember anything else. Mind dump everything that you could possibly think of that you need to get done around the house, errands that you need to run, personal care, things to do with the kids, things to do with your spouse. Things are happening in the next week, things are going on with your Scentsy business. Mind dump all that onto one page, right? Don't even overthink it. Just mind dump it. Then once you create that list, one thing that I like to go back and do is prioritize. So then you want to maybe whatever that looks like for you, whether it's doing a new list or maybe like underlining or highlighting or maybe even making numbers. Like number 1, what is the most important thing that I have to get done today or this week? The most one, and put that number 1 and then go from there. I've done that before because sometimes even though like one thing that may seem like a top priority thing to me may not necessarily on a scale of like 1 to 10 be top priority after I mind up and then I do all these other things, right? So something I think is really important may need to get pushed back further down to the list down here, and then these other things at the very top because for whatever reason I have like a deadline or it has to get done like right now kind of thing. That tends to help me a lot. let's see. Dun, dun, dun. So it's really important to navigate through the highs and lows of your business. So like for example, for me, I love using myself as an example. So navigating through the highs and lows, what does that mean for me? So for me, that means that over the last 2+ years, I have had a maintained PR vehicle that I've hit every single month without even hitting any less than that, right? This year has been a little bit different, and I wavered from that. Whether it's something that I could have helped or it just the way that it was, but I have learned that I have to navigate through the highs and lows. So that means for me that even though I have a personal goal, I'm going to pivot and I'm going to reflect on the previous month and be like, okay, this is where I landed. This is where my goals were. Did I come up short for my goals? And if I did come up short, why did I come up short? And how can I make sure that I don't repeat that pattern for the next month? Right. So that's how I'm navigating between my highs and lows. It's also taking the time out for myself, for my mental self, to make sure that I'm filling my cup up, that I'm taking care of myself first and foremost, that I'm making sure that my fur babies are taken care of, that my husband's taken care of. That's putting me first and then them and then my business, right? Because if I'm not my best self and if things outside this office wall is not taken care of, that's going to mentally affect me up here and I'm not going to be able to be present here, if that makes sense. And that's navigating the highs and lows. It's making sure that I know that there are things that are out of my control and there are things that are within my control. And the things that I do have control over, I want to make sure that I'm my best self for, and I'm showing up for every single chance that I get, right? And I know that there have been times in my business that I have had little dips recently, but that's okay because I am not giving up. I was just talking to my friend and my husband about this the other day, is that even though I'm not meeting my personal goal from what I did have for myself a year ago, I know that I can do it because I've done it before. And even though I do have things that are set up and front loaded for the next month and even this month, for example, this month there were things that I had set up. I had hosts for some parties. I had an event that I was supposed to do, and there were things that happen. Life happens, right? Personal things came up. My host had to reschedule, or maybe I didn't have a successful party, but I'm learning to reflect back on the things that didn't happen. And instead of beating myself up over it, I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to look at the flip side of it. So, for example, the party that I had that wasn't a success, I was like, you know what? You got an order on that party. She said yes to hosting. She showed up. She invited the people. We did the best that we could. And we're going to edit it. We're going to pivot and we're going to turn that into a personal shopping link. Right. So instead of beating myself over, like, what did I do wrong? What, I messed up. I'm a failure. I failed. Instead, I was like, you know what? I have to reflect and I have to pivot and I have to have a different perspective. You have to get a different perspective. And that's how I'm navigating through the low points of this month, right? It's the same thing for the host that I had. Personal things came up in her life, and that's okay because life happens, family comes first. But I can't be like, well, it is what it is. I guess I'm not going to make my numbers this month. No, I was like, you know what? I have to put my head down and I have to make sure that I'm working my business every single day until the last day, right? And sometimes there will be months where that's going to happen. There have been months before where I've done really well at the beginning and I've been able to kind of like sit back a little bit and then take a little break. There have been other times before where, no joke, like I've had to work my business toward the very end of the month to make sure that I'm hitting my goals that I've set for myself. So that's going to look a little bit different, right? So that's how you get through like the highs and lows. But it's so important to reflect back on what worked last month and what did not work last month. One thing I want to try to get better about myself and better at doing is, in fact, that's what I'm doing this month. Is this week I'm actually going to jot down like the month, the year, and I want to say like this is what went well for my business. That was a mouthful. And what did not go well. So then that way when I'm looking at my numbers in 2024 and I'm comparing them to this year, then I can be like, oh, you know what? that is what worked in my business. And I'm always willing to try something again. Like if there was something that I tried to do this month that didn't work out for whatever reason, I am willing to try it again next year, 2024 in August, just to see if by chance it's going to work, because you just never know. But I just think that that's going to be cool to be able to look back on and reflect on. Most importantly, don't use busy as an excuse. Don't procrastinate. Again, going back to the very beginning of this, like we are entering a very busy season, whether it's scent related or it's personal related, right? If it's outside of Scentsy, we're all going to be busy in our own ways. But busy, again, is the best way to be in a networking type business, because that means you're always on the go. That means you're always coming across different people, right? Like some people don't have that advantage, right? If you're coming into different situations where you're able to plug in Scentsy in different ways, that is incredible. If you have a busier schedule, that means that you're more structured. That means that you have a plan. And again, remember the very beginning, what I said is that let Scentsy fall into the cracks. So when you have those small breaks in between your busy schedule for this upcoming season, let Scentsy fill into those cracks. For example, if you are at your kid's sports team and they're having practice, you have a phone, you are around people that are more likely sitting around you just like you are, waiting for practice to end. You are watching it together. Engage with them, right? Don't start with Scentsy. Start with building the relationship and let Scentsy follow. It's the same thing for, like, remember I talked about having those samples on hand, having product list or a catalog, just being Scentsy ready. Heck, if you don't feel comfortable carrying that stuff with you, don't leave the house Scentsy naked. Have your shirt, have your hat, have your bag, keychain, whatever the case may be, because that's going to be a great conversation starter and a great icebreaker, and it's going to give you an opportunity to talk up your business. And honestly, it makes it a lot easier to bring up, especially because, someone's going to notice that. That also ties in with how can you start without being overwhelmed. Use productivity towards that. You want to starting without being overwhelmed. Again goes back to doing one thing at a time, right? You don't have to do all the things, but you have to start somewhere, and it's going to be different for all of us. Especially because most of y'all that are been around for the fall winter season know when I said earlier, buckle up, Buttercup, because we have a lot of stuff, limited time offers that get thrown at us every single month. So there are going to be plenty of opportunities for you to get those little sprinkles in your business. So whatever month looks crazy for you, if that's September, October, just know that you can take a little bit of a break. But the beauty of it is that there's so much goodness that's coming our way. It almost is going to give you the little bit of like boost in your confidence to help you have tangible things and new exciting things to talk about, to present your business to other people, whether in person, whether through social media. But if you're not talking it up and you're not sharing it, you can't expect people to automatically assume what's coming out, right? You can't automatically expect them to go check out and be like, oh, here's the new catalog. No, it's our job to let them know that the new catalog's coming out. This isn't asking you to drop your day-to-day, but better yet, again, intertwine it in with your schedule. I'm not asking you to drop your schedule, y'all. I'm not asking you to drop everything that you normally do. And again, I feel like that a lot of times when I have joint conversations with my own customers, a lot of times I feel like that's what they're thinking, or assuming, better yet, that I'm asking of them, is that they're assuming that I'm saying, ooh, Cynthia's going to have to take over your entire life. You're going to have to get rid of, get rid of your job. Cynthia's going to take over. No, Cynthia's going to play a small part in your life that's already taken place. It's basically like you don't have to make room for it, right? It's just going to fit right in. And again, it's so important, y'all. Just take it one thing at a time. And that depends for you. Like maybe this season you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to give fundraising a shot. Focus on fundraising. Lead with fundraising. That can be the thing that you're doing this season for your business. It doesn't necessarily have to always be multiple things. But try one thing, try something new. I challenge you. Maybe that could be your small attainable goal for this year, for this season, is I want to try to do one fundraiser. Try to do that Let me know how it goes. Put a pin in the other things that interest you. Maybe you're saying, you know what? I want to do events and fundraising. Choose one, put a pin in the other for this next year, for this next summer, for this next spring. Don't feel like you have to do everything all at once. Because that's when you're going to have to take a deep breath and you're going to have to slow it down because there is so much coming up this season. So pick and choose what works for you. It's important to go at your own pace. Consider unfollowing certain groups and consultants, like I said before. Go at your own pace, right? Even though I work my business on a day-to-day, week-to-week schedule, you may want to work your business once or twice in the month. You could be, you know what? I'm my best customer, Megan. If you're selling yourself that, if you just want to make a little bit of side money off your own orders, you working your business is going to look completely different. You have to go at the pace that works for you. I know some consultants that work their business twice a week, once a week, right? You have to do what works for you. And that also depends on what your goal is, right? My goals are bigger. If I have bigger goals, I have to work my business. Or I should say, I don't have to, but I want to work my business because I want to work towards that big goal. So from personal experience, I know what it's going to take to get there. But if you're just telling me, you know what, I just need a little side cash. I need a little pocket money. I need a little bit of spending money. I need some gas money. That's where you working your business is showing up to make sure that you're hitting those month-to-month PRV goals. It's going to look completely different from the other person. But you have to know that if your goal is set at XYZ for the month, you have to have a plan, right? You have to have a plan in place to make sure that you get to your goal before the end of the month. When you're feeling overwhelmed, again, like I said before, brain dump, make a list and brain dump. I love crossing things off a list. So that's so important for me. And I honestly, as much as I would like to say that I knock this list out every single day, I don't. I actually set it up for the week and I'm like, you know what? Let's chip away one thing at a time. I have the whole week to do it. And that is my goal, to get all those things knocked off my list by the end of the week. Not the end of the day. I never got time for that, but by the end of the week. I think that's about it. The last thing I'll leave you with that's important is to find that one thing that's going to help you jumpstart your day. That's going to be different for everybody. Honestly, it changes on a day-to-day basis for me. Sometimes it could be a cup of coffee. Or let's be honest too. Other times it could be plain. I have playlist for when I'm in my office. I love Spotify. So if you guys have Spotify, let me know and I will share my playlist with you. I thrive off of themes. So I'm not even kidding when I say a playlist for like every aspect of my life. So it could be music. Sometimes it's taking my favorite book and reading a chapter or honestly reading a couple pages and just giving that little jump start for me to get going for the day. Sometimes that's listening to a podcast. Sometimes that's listening to a training. For some of y'all, maybe like working out first thing in the morning, going for a walk before you go into your office. Whatever the case may be, find that one thing that's going to help you jumpstart your day. I guarantee you, if you find that one thing that's going to bring you that real quick dose of serotonin, it's going to give you a mind boost and you'll be set and ready for the rest of the day. I guarantee it. It works wonders. I've noticed a difference when I don't do things like that. If I do that one thing, if I don't choose that one thing first thing at the beginning of my day, I notice a huge shift in my day as compared to when I do take that time out for myself. The other thing that I just want to leave y'all with is that it's important whenever you have, sorry, I'm going to get a drink real quick. When you have your goal set up for the month, and by the way, if you go to your dashboard and you scroll down, coolest thing ever is that when you scroll down on your dashboard, it'll have like where you can set your monthly goal. I highly recommend doing that because what's really cool is that when you set your goal and then you meet it, there's these fun little like confetti fireworks that shoot off and then celebrate you meeting your goal. But let's just say hypothetically that you're wanting to, let's just say if I asked you like, what is your goal commission for the month? Let's just say you're like, you know what? I'd like to bring in 250. Let's just say that, like 250 in sales, or I'm sorry, 250 in commission on my paycheck. That's what my goal paycheck is. Well, in theory, that would mean that you want to set your sale goal, your PRV goal for the month at $1,000. But where do you go from there? That would mean that you would want to take that 200, sorry, my bad, can't have myself. You would want to take that $1,000, the 1,000 PRV, and let's just say there's next month, there's 30 days in the calendar month. You basically want to do the math. So you want to divide that 1,000 by 30, and then that'll let you know approximately how much you need to make per day to make sure that you get to that goal, right? So that's what I like to do, is I like to take like what my end of the month PRV goal is, right? And then I subtract it by how many days are in the month, and that lets me know I need to make X amount of PRV per day to make sure that I get to the end of the month goal, right? So that's pretty much about it. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you all so much for hanging out. I am so excited for September 1st. I am so excited for the Harvest Collection, for this new catalog, you guys. Like, if you have not gotten your hands on this new catalog, it is incredible. But yeah, I hope y'all have an incredible rest of your week. If you are on Team Faith and Soul and you are watching this, say thanks so much for watching the replay. Be on the lookout, because I am planning on doing if you're on the team, I am planning on doing a Zoom chat. I'm thinking, let's see, today's Wednesday. So I think I'm actually going to do it. Actually, maybe tonight. We'll see. I was like, oh gosh, yeah, Friday is the 1st. So just be on the lookout for a text from me. But thank y'all so much for hanging out. Feel free to reach out to me if you're on the team or not, if you have any questions. Otherwise, thank y'all so much for hanging out, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all. Y'all have a good day.